Okay, so I'm supposed to be introducing my panelists, which is something that I thought that Andy was going to do. So first, I would like to invite to the stage to Juan Ortiz de Solorzano, who is an architect, and also he's the associate partner of Metaverse Architect and co-founder of Spaces DAO. So please give him an applause. Thank you. Thank you, Juan. And I would like to come to the stage as well to architect Jennifer Duran. She's also a researcher at OLA research company and OVA, and she's also an alumni of our school, I School of Architecture and Design at I University. So good. Good energy in the morning, excellent. And last but not least, please come to the floor, Gianluca Pugliese. He's also the director of a company called Low Poly, and he's also a professor of digital craftsmanship at the I School of Architecture and Design, so he's also in the ecosystem of I University. So the first thing that I wanted to say to everyone, thank you for being here. I know that we have a huge alternative options, and we are glad that you chose us in the digital space and in the physical space to be here with us. So thank you. We are going to be talking about what's going on in immersive environments. Notice that we are not talking about metaverse yet, but we will. So one of the things that when South Summit asked I School of Architecture and Design to be part of this panel, I thought, what would be interesting? And we thought the best would be to have people who are actually designers and architects and have been trained in the physical environment, in the built environment, and now they are actually also doing work, or mostly doing work, in the digital one. So that's why these three people are here. So I'm going to ask them some questions, okay? So let's start with something that I always wanted to know, and maybe I never found out. Probably they didn't either. Tell me in one sentence, okay, as quick as you can, or at least as briefly as you can, how did you make the transition from the physical to the digital, and why? So, Gianluca.
Okay, I did the transition 7 years ago when I started to create physical environment, and then I tried to create a digital environment. But from my point of view, now we are in the transition, because I have a lot of customers that are working in the physical, but they want also a digital option of their sculpture or architectural projects.
Okay. Jenny, how are you?
Well, for me, it was in one sentence, because of the COVID-19 pandemic. In the COVID-19, it was impossible for us to be connected in a physical way. So I started creating this type of projects. In that time, it was not like Metaverse project. It was only called immersive environments, for trying to connect and socialize with people because of the COVID. And I think that that's how everything started for me.
And Juan, was it something similar for you, COVID?
Yeah, well, it wasn't COVID. It was actually more of the opportunity that the metaverse brings to architects. And for me, in my personal case, I've always loved 3D designing and 3D art. So, like, mixing my love with architecture and 3D design, like, you come to the metaverse. So it was like more of the opportunity.
First time we hear about the metaverse. So far, we are talking about immersive environments. Yeah. So, okay. So. Right, we will get back to that in a little bit. There are plenty of opportunities in immersive environments, and one of the things also that we wanted to explore is what is there for architects and designers, people who have trained in the built environment, in the physical environment, and have particular qualities as well. So we hear, we've been here in these last 3 days, but we hear it all the time. There are parcels being sold in the central land, like virtual land, which is only last year, I think that it was like 500,000 euros worth. 500 million, sorry, which is not any amount. But at the same time, there are opportunities such as working with maybe clients and taking decisions alongside them, which is possible much more now in working with the sort of the abilities and the techniques that tools such as Unreal Engines, for instance, allow. So how do you actually approach in your projects that sort of shift maybe of opportunities? Anyone? I mean, Jenny, how do you do that? How do you actually take advantage and what is exciting to you about those possibilities? Maybe you can run it through some of your projects.
Well, I would love to showcase one of the projects.
I'll give you the control.
Okay, thank you. Give me 1 second.
Next.
Okay, so this is one of the projects that I love working for. It's called The Power of Data. The Power of Data was developed by the Ola Research, which is online lab of architecture. I am a co-founder of this virtual architecture design studio. We developed this project for Fundación Telefónica Movistar, Peru 2021. In English, is Telefónica Movistar Foundation 2021. And it was for the contest, for the second edition of the contest Virtual Space. And in this project, we were trying to make a research and upload this research into the metaverse, because the metaverse right now is not only for gaming or buying or just entertainment, but we can only develop research in architecture and upload it into the metaverse. So in this project, we were starting with the project with questions. So we asked ourselves, can we create a building based on real data from social networks? And we extracted, due to artificial intelligence algorithms, we extracted data from Instagram, from 34 profiles, and we start creating this project and start creating this building. So we convert this data into 3D points, then the 3D points into geometry, the computational design process, and then into this building. So in the metaverse, we have the freedom to do that. I know that it sounds crazy probably, but here you can see the scale of the building. If we are with the headsets, we can see that the building is huge. It has 234 meters high. It's a skyscraper. And in the metaverse, we developed, because Telefónica asked us to do that, 3 types of experiences. One was an immersive one that was with the headsets. But not everyone has the headsets right now because it's not massive yet. Yeah. So we developed another one that is with an avatar. You can enter to the building with an avatar and gather in the building with different avatars. And we also have an immersive experience that is a 360 for the smartphones. If you scan this QR code, you can see the 360 experience that we developed with the same project for Telefónica. And I think that, for me, that's what truly creative freedom is, because in the metaverse, we can create this type of things that looks as crazy and has a lot of a concept-driven design behind. And we can create this in the metaverse. I know that probably that's the best that we can do in the metaverse. We can create without limits. And yeah, that's at least for me. I don't know, Juan.
Yeah, and that's so true. And the metaverse, it's just creating, it's no logic architecture in somehow that we forget about the structures, pillars, and everything, and it's just concept and being as much as creative as you can, right? I think in our case, for example, it's interesting our way of working with different clients that many times, like, they want to come into the metaverse, but they don't really know how. So we also do like a consulting process with them, trying to understand what's their business about, their company, what they want to do. So we come to like a whole project, and then we also help them to choose the platform, if it's Sandbox, if it's the Decentraland, the Spatial, so different ones. So because at the end, like right now, this is such a new world that there is not a lot of ideas from different people and what do they want to do. So also, like, we help them making those decisions. For example, there is well, I'm going to show some of our projects and talk about the clients and what they did. So this, for example, was a client was an investor fund. So they didn't really want to know anything about the metaverse. So they were like, we want to get in. We don't know how, so they
And
hired us.
why do you think that they wanted to get into the metaverse if they didn't know anything about it?
Well, because they see the opportunity and they see the future in this immersive world. So because at the end, from 5 to 10 years, this is probably going to be something that is going to, like, that everyone is going to be in. Maybe as social media, as a company, as work in meetings. So like all of these people that are trying to get in, they just want to see a way. So for example, they were like, hey, we want to sell a project to Rock Nation, which is the production of JC.
Yeah.
And they hired us to develop a project, and they did a donation. So we're like, okay, we recommend you to do it in Sandbox because it's really nice for events. And at the end, we did this project, which they loved, and I think they didn't sell it to Rock Nation, but to Grindr. So at the end, it's an example. This is an NFT gallery that was also for a client which was already into the Web3. So there is also people that already know. At the end, I think that it's important to know that the metaverse is bringing to every particular company, person, an opportunity. And I think that for us, for architects, it's a bigger opportunity since there's going to be so much like creativity and work to do and 3D designing. So at the end, that's also a big reason why we are here, I think.
Yeah, and I think that also not many architects and designers are actually leading companies involved in designing in the metaverse. So I think that there is also a big responsibility to be there as well.
Yeah.
So that's an important aspect.
And it's hard to educate architects right now because we were trying to find people to hire architects, and when you tell them that you are doing architecture in the metaverse, they are still very skeptical about it, and it's kind of hard to find people because they are like, why in the metaverse there is no construction? But at the end, I think that we have to shape this new architecture that it's emerging right now. So, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Luca, you work slightly differently, and probably your projects will be slightly different because you work from the physical and then you move into the digital. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, just the last job that we did in Milan during the design week was super interesting because Rossana Orlandi, for her gallery, asked us to create a digital sculpture for the metaverse. But the main goal was to teach to the main people how to enter in the metaverse and how to buy an NFT in an easy way. Also looking the way to be sustainable, using recycled plastic or using NFT that are based on blockchain that doesn't consume a lot of CO2 to be mined. So we decided to create a physical sculpture that is digital, but also is physical. So we are specialized in large-scale 3D printing with the sustainable material, and normally we create a different environment, physical environment that are also digital. And in this case, we create Gateway, that is an installation that is digital and physical in Milan. So I think that this is the sculpture. So with an application, you can scanning a QR code, you can buy, you can book one of the pixels of this sculpture. So it will be also a collaborative experience where when you buy a pixel, this kind of pixel change the color. So at the end of the design week, we will create a new sculpture that is collaborative because it's created by the people that are visiting the space. I don't know if the video is
No, I don't think that it's. Okay. But maybe we can give them the users, the people.
But I think that in this moment it's very important to teach the public to understand how it's easy in a way. It's easy to enter in the metaverse and create an NFT, create art on a digital world, and for us, the big goal will be creating this kind of mix between physical and digital that can be like a Caronte that train the people to move from the physical world to the digital world.
Yeah, and you tackle something which I thought that it was very interesting, which is the idea of community, the idea of it's going to be collaborative, and I think that brings to an interesting issue, which is many of these spaces that you are talking about, and many of the projects that you talk about, and that maybe we all know, have a degree of community engagement, and they are based on that community engagement. I always talk about this idea of a third space, something which is actually not a physical space only, but something that can recreate a sense of community where people want to go back and feel almost at home. And that could be, ideally, maybe some of the metaverse spaces. The first thing that I wanted to ask people here in the audience, how many of you own an NFT? Okay. And how many people have actually got cryptocurrencies? Okay, so we have. How many people are architects or designers? Okay, all right, just to have a bit of an idea.
It's a good mix.
So yeah, we have a mixed group. Yeah. So let's go back to that sense of community and engagement. How have you, in the work and the work that you are seeing, that you are getting commissioned, how important is that, and how do you see it in practice? What kind of strategies can you actually put in practice to create that sort of engagement and community? So Juan.
First of all, social media, I think it's right now the basic thing for that. So, for example, in the Spaces, we have a Discord where we bring, our intention is to bring a community of designers and architects, so to have them working together. And actually, I think the community grows with every project by itself, because, for example, the NFT gallery that I was talking about, this is an NFT project called Boss Beauties, which already has a community. Mm-hmm. So at the end, what they are trying to do is to bring them together. Also, for example, the Bluebird Gallery, which is also a project that we did in a Spatial and in Sandbox. We brought it to two different metaverses. This one, at the end, what they want to do is a place for events and a place to gather with people that they cannot gather in the real world. So having a place to gather in the metaverse, and also to show their NFTs because they are collectors. So, I mean, the community, apart from social media, Twitter, Discord, I think it's going to keep growing, because this realm brings interest from everyone, because like when you talk about the metaverse, like they want to see more, they want to talk more with you. At the end, it's something that is going to happen, and it's going to keep growing. So for us, for example, our biggest intention is to try to make a community of architects, and try to, because our latest objective is to make like a DAO of architects, where we can work together, like based on commission. And so at the end, I think that everything going around all of these metaverse, it's about bringing community together and working together and creators.
So a workplace metaverse as well, that's something that you're talking about, which does already exist. Many companies already have some sort of workspace for collaboration between partners, clients, and other companies.
Yeah. A lot of companies right now, actually, what they want is a place for events or a place for work for the company, so they can, like, instead of meeting in Zoom, just meet in an immersive experience in an exhibition hall. So that's a lot of companies are doing that right now. So that's also another reason.
Okay, what's your experience, Jenny, in terms of community engagement? How can we actually? What's the purpose why people will actually go into one of these spaces? How is the incentive? Not only as alluding to this idea of the third space, people go and then they want to come back. Why would they do it?
Well, I agree with what Juan said, because when you get commissioned by an artist, by an NFT artist, for doing something in the metaverse, it's because they already have a community. They already talk with their community, and their community are very happy with them. They have like Discord, Twitter, or the social networks, and they get with the community together via the social networks, but they now want to do a new step, that is gathering their community in a three-dimensional space. So for that reason, they want a metaverse project for doing that. I have here, let me search for the project. And for that reason, the community is going to be involved with the design. This was a project that I developed for an NFT artist. And the project has a lot of social spaces. It's a project like in outer space. and it has an NFT gallery inside. They also see it as an e-commerce in a way, but it's a new type of e-commerce, because in this type of metaverses, you can have the NFT, and if you click in the NFT, you can go to OpenSea, Rarible, Super Rare, the NFT place, so you can buy the NFT. And you have everything connected, like it's like an e-commerce. That's why I was talking at the beginning about buying in the metaverse. But they also want social spaces for their communities, because they want to be with their communities in a three-dimensional space and talk with them. And also they have, well, at least in some projects, they have a token key. So only the community is going to access to the project. Not everyone is going to access to the project, only the community. And in a sense, the community know that they belong to that space because of that, because they have the token key, they know the artist, and they already talk with the artist before in a different way, like in a 2D way. And right now, it's like the evolution of that relationship that they already have with the artist. And that's how I see the metaverse and the community, how they belong to that metaverse. That's, I think, that what I want to add to everything that Juan said.
Gianluca, in your case, you are kind of talking about the project in Milano now, which continues because the community, or rather not the community, but the public in a way collaborates. That's a more open notion of community. How do you see that engagement of community in immersive environments?
I mean, in my company, we are working in a 3D environment, so we work together in a collaborative way with VR glasses. To create a digital or physical structure too. But in the case of the Milano Design Week sculpture, I think that is a big point that is the metaverse give a new life to an art piece, because after the week, the sculpture will be keep out from the place, but it stays in the metaverse. So it keeps remaining in the metaverse with a new collaborative way. Talking about collaboration and community, as Jenny and Juan told before, metaverse is pushing a lot the boundaries of architecture and design, because in the metaverse you can create structure that doesn't take into account the force of gravity or whatever. So in Low Poly we have a goal to move this kind of metaverse and collaborative community design to the craft. So the course that I lead in IE about digital handcraft is to create a digital craft with VR glasses in a 3D environment, to create then with technology like 3D printing in clay, create a craft that comes from digital. So our goal is to create a community about a collaborative environment to create craft.
It's almost like a sort of retro metaverse.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting concept.
It's kind of meta pottery space.
Yeah.
Pottery space.
So projecting ourselves, we have a few more minutes to go, and I wouldn't like to miss the opportunity to ask you, how do you see, I mean, there is one prediction which people are actually interchanging, and it's like, well, in the year maybe 2026, the amount of people who will be in the metaverse will be about 25%, and they will be spending about an hour per day in the metaverse. You think that that's realistic? You think that that's actually something that is too low? Because you seem very already, you know, working with lots of clients, with lots of projects. So what's your view? You think that this is too perhaps pessimistic?
I think it can happen, and actually more. Like right now in social media, how many hours do we spend a day? So now, if you combine social media, because the metaverse is going to be not only about working environments, it's going to be also about Twitter Spaces, to be in a virtual space. It's going to be about Instagram, watching in an immersive way the photos. I don't know, like these are examples. So I think that if you combine like the time you're going to be spending in the metaverse as some work and also social media, it's going to be probably more than an hour a day, but not as something wrong, as something that already it's happening with the social media. So it's not new, it's just different in some way, right?
Yeah, for me, it's the next, evolution is the next step. Because right now, the little kids are already in Roblox every day, in Minecraft, in all these video game platforms, and they spend a lot of time there. And in that future, there are going to be the adults or the teenagers of the future, and they are going to be very used to be in that type of environments. Maybe the transition for us, in our age, is more difficult in a way, but for the little ones, right now, it's like a fact. They are not thinking we are transitioning, they are already there. And well, as Juan said, I think that, yeah, the social networks are going to evolve too. And right now we have Teams, Microsoft, they are creating workspaces. I think it's Horizon, the project. And they are trying to transition Teams, that is a 2D video conference type, to a 3D metaverse space with workspaces. So now we're going to enter with an avatar and start working there. So everything is transitioning in that way.
Yeah. Optimistic?
Yeah, of course, because it's quite simple to be in the metaverse right now. So in the future, it will be easier. And in my case, I have the 70% of my customers or my clients that are asking to create a physical object, but also the digital object to put in the metaverse. So big companies are going to be present in the metaverse. So I think that's will be the future.
Yeah, I think that probably we will kind of experience increasingly more and more of a seamlessness, right? Just for the final round, I would like to get from you something that you think that architects and designers can bring to the table, which is kind of unique. So, Gianluca, sorry, I'm just going to go to you.
For me, metaverse will be the big inspiration for architects and designers, because, again, you can create beautiful spaces, not in the earth. So you can create a beautiful sculpture using parametric design, generative design, that will be inspired also the physical world.
Okay, Jenny?
For me, as a creator in the metaverse, the only word that can describe my experience is freedom, creative freedom, because as an architect, you have a lot of parameters in real life, but in the metaverse, you start from scratch. So imagine the possibilities are infinite.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of you. I think that's completely true. And I also want to say that as architects, we have an important role on shaping the cities, right? So in the metaverse, it's important that now we also find new collaboration with new type of designers. So we have worked with constructors in the real life, with electricists, with water, I don't know how to say it in English. So now we have to collaborate with developers, with programmers. So there's a lot of new people that we have to find. So right now there's a whole new world to discover as architects.
And still also probably working with the real estate developers and the builders. And so it's almost like unfolding the complexity. And I'm glad that we finished on that note, because this South Summit is all about decoding complexity. So I think that that's a good sort of ending for the talk. So I think that we are, in a positive vein, we think that architects, designers are the right people to be at the table where these discussions are held, and also big responsibility and opportunities. So with that, I would like to kind of provide a big applause for our speakers today. So thank you very much.